All right. So, guys, welcome. Glad you guys are on. I want to, initially, this call is really geared around you guys. So, I've got some stuff I want to cover, but it may not be as pertinent as covering the items that maybe you guys are struggling with, or items that you might feel are most important. So, the first thing I want to do is go through kind of questions, items that you guys feel would be helpful that we cover. And then if we have the time, what I wanted to cover today on some of the things on my end is go through leads. I want to show you some stuff in Opt. I want to show you how things come in from GMR so you guys understand how those leads kind of function, what an A lead is, how it turns into an OA1, OA2, OA3, things of that nature. When I send out leads, and you'll notice that it says aging out. What does that mean? How do we take care of that? So I want to cover some of that with you guys. But more importantly, initially, I want to get some questions from you on things that you're struggling with, things that we can kind of mentor as a group together, mentor you guys through. So just real quickly, what questions or what items do you feel like you're struggling with that we can help you with most through this kind of next hour or so? Apparently everyone's good. No one has any questions?
I've got a question, Mike.
All right, Brian.
I'm buying a new computer. What type of computer would you recommend for Opt? What works the best?
New computer. I have found that. Are you going to use an iPad at all in your? Do you have an iPad?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. And some of you guys might be able to answer this as well. I think that a Surface would be probably most profitable, just because you can. I know Ron Dilbert uses that to flip it around and have clients sign if need be.
Okay.
If you're going with a computer, for me, I pretty much only used an iPad, the brand new iPads. I don't have mine in here, but the big, huge screen iPad. The only challenge with that is it's not extremely user-friendly from an Opt standpoint. So if you're using it, it's very nice for client-facing meetings, interacting with clients. It's extremely nice. So when I come home and finish items from an Opt standpoint, I do not use my iPad. I come straight to my computer. I've got a desktop that I've built out for this, and that's what I utilize to kind of upload things. So if you're looking for an all-inclusive one, I would say probably a touch screen flip around, like I think the Lenovo has a, I guess Yoga, whatever it's called. I don't know. Daniel, do you remember what that's called? Yoga 3 or 4?
I have an Acer, and it folds over.
Yep.
And turns into a pad.
Okay.
So anything with that feature, I think, would be most versatile. I never had one, but a little jealous with those that do. So hopefully that's helpful. Anyone else have questions I can help answer?
Thank you, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what happens when we run out of leads? leads.
Okay, so that's a good question. What happens?
Like I know, like Washington County's been, good. But then, like, does it flip? Do they send out the mailings like different counties, different zip codes, different?
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. So mailings. Like, what happens when it runs dry, or does it run dry? Because I know Washington County, you haven't run into that yet.
No, we haven't run into that, but it's always that question in the back of my mind. Hey, one day there's not going to be Washington County. Am I going to have to go to Georgia?
Sure. No, that's a good question. You're going to have to go to Australia, actually.
That works. I know.
So that's a good question, and that actually will be answered when we cover some of the stuff. So I'm gonna hold off. That's a good question, but if that's the only other question, I'll dig into the leads.
Final expense leads.
Final expense leads. Okay. What are they? What to expect? All that stuff.
I mean, are they fair game? Are they?
Sure.
You know.
I'll answer that quickly and briefly. Final expense is pretty much an untapped market for Symmetry. So almost everyone tackles mortgage protection. Why? Probably because they're a little bit higher caliber clients. When you get into the final expense arena, you're pretty much going to deal with people on fixed income, older, 60s plus. $30 a month is hard for them. So your biggest challenge, they're smaller sales. Your biggest challenge is going to be getting it to fit in the budget. Now, all of them want it because none of them have coverage, and the policies aren't going to ever be any more than probably $5,000 to $15,000 of coverage. It's all like Americo Eagle Premier, AIG guarantee products. It's all going to be Living Promise. Their immediate issue, they're pretty quick. They're lower. Your average case size with mortgage protection is about 1,100. Your average case size with final expense is probably 600 to 900.
Right.
But the leads cost less. Okay, so the leads are less expensive. And my understanding of the final expense leads, now I've never personally worked them. Brad Smith has, and he's made probably in a year, he's made over $100,000 on those. So they're profitable. They're very profitable. I believe the final expense leads do not have that 4-week. I could be wrong, and I'll correct that if I am wrong. They're a little bit easier to turn on and off as far as the mailings are concerned. And there's pretty much, like the penetration rate with those leads, I think only 20% of people are actually doing those leads. So they are different. They are very different. Okay. The biggest feedback I've gotten from the couple of people that have run those leads is, man, these people are rough. I can't seem to fit, $30 a month into their budget. That seems to be the biggest challenge. But it's just like anything else. You run them, there's a matrix to them. I've got friends that in different, not with Symmetry, that do just final expense, and they're making $200,000-$400,000 a year just doing final expense. So that can be something that you can feather in. And as far as helping to answer that initial question about running out of leads, that could be an item that you might go to if leads, particularly that week or a couple months, they seem to be low. There's no real way to know if leads are going to be low or high. I know in our area in Benton County, we'll have a couple of weeks where like 30 of them come in, and then all of a sudden we'll have like 5. And I have no clue why, or if it's because people aren't buying as many homes, or they're not refinancing, or they're not responding to letters. And the lead department flips around the different styles, just like all the junk mail you get. They'll change the envelope size, the font, what it says, how it says it. They'll change all that to try to get a higher hit rate. But it does fluctuate. For whatever reason, your area, Daniel, well, Elazar and Brittany's GMRs, which is Virginia and Tennessee, are like literally blowing it out of the water. I have no idea why, but last week in the counties that those are turned on, we got almost 70 leads, and we've only been asking for 20. So that's in a 1-week period. That happens, and that's been happening for the last, 2 months, 3 months? It's ridiculous. So I don't know if they just got it figured out there, or if other people have turned off their GMRs and we're the only ones that have maintained and continued to just purchase them and close them. I don't know the answer there, but I can tell you, I will kind of get into what happens when leads do get saturated in an area, because that can happen, and how to handle that and what to do, and some of the challenges there. Does that help on the final expense?
Yeah, it helps. I was just wondering because there's like 250 total final expense leads. I mean, some of them may be old, what have you, in Sullivan County. I'm like, man, they just basically rolled over and rolled over and rolled over and rolled over.
Yeah. So, and it depends on how old they are. Those could be rough if they're pretty old. Don't have high expectations for them.
Everything in East Tennessee is rough.
It's the standard of living, right?
It's these people where Elazar's at right now. I think the lowest house I called the other day for him was like $235,000. I mean, there's not a lot of $235,000 houses.
Nevada's rough. It's rough.
I mean, he's got it tough out there.
Yeah.
All right. So good question. Before I move on, I know Yvette, welcome. Glad you're on the call. Does anyone else have any questions? I want this to be your time before I go into some stuff that I've got prepared for you. What other questions, concerns, things you're running into, things that you're having a hard time with? Could be phoning, could be in the home, presentation, uploading items, understanding numbers. I'm throwing out stuff, but this is all about you guys.
Hey, Mike, I got one for you.
Okay.
It's pretty simple, but I just don't know if there's a better best practice, if you will. So you're calling clients, right, and then you're away from your information, all of that. A client calls you back. What's the best dialogue to have so you're not like fumbling and, because you have no other information in front of you. You don't know who their banker is, any of that stuff. I mean, is there anyone else running into that, or is there a set dialogue that you're saying so you are still keeping them on the phone and keeping their interest?
Good question. I'm going to initially I want to hear what Elazar has to say about that, because he does, and I want to also hear what maybe Jeffrey has to say, and Yvette, some of those that have been dialing quite a bit, what they have to say initially, and then I'll kind of give my response.
So what I usually do, there's two things I do. If it's someone I've been trying to contact a couple times, I've dialed a couple times and either left a message, I'll save their contact information in my phone, and I'll put some of their information on there as far as I have an iPhone, so under the notes section or whatever, I'll just put a quick brief thing of their loan amount and their bank or anything like that. I usually don't put their address. And then the other time, most of the time, if I don't save their number in there, but I know it's a client that's calling me back, I usually won't answer. I won't answer, and then I'll just give them a call back and just kind of play phone tag for a little bit until I'm able and set up in front of something to do that.
Okay. Anyone else? Let's see. Jeffrey, you want to, what's your response to that? How do you handle those situations?
If I'm in my car, I don't pick up. I let it go to voicemail. Then when I come back to the office, I sort through opt by the phone number and immediately call them back once I've got the actual pre-qual or the lead in front of me. But I don't pick up the phone unless I know that I recognize the number. I've been starting to take, for instance, yesterday, very productive day for me. Not just door knocking, but taking the leads that I feel that I'm going to get a call back on and have them in my car. And again, don't have opt on my phone yet, but being able to take that phone call, obviously if I'm not driving out in the field, and taking pre-qualification forms with me and doing it, in the field, and not necessarily having to be back at my office.
Good.
There's one other thing I did want to add too. For those, I don't know, because how well you are with just tech savvy. I mean, I'm very tech savvy, so it may not be able to apply to everybody. But in Opt, you can basically download all of your leads and put it onto a spreadsheet. And that's what I usually do. I put it all on a spreadsheet. So if in fact somebody does call me and I've got a bunch of leads and I can, filter through who this is, you can use that and just do a search feature in the spreadsheet, and you can find exactly who they are delete, all the information that you would need in a spreadsheet form. And I can show you how to do that too. We can get together sometime offline.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. All of those. I mean, the only thing I would add to that, I try not to respond to anyone that's not in my phone. I put all my clients. So when they become a client, I put them in my phone so that I know who it is when they're calling. Like just this morning, some of you didn't hear this, but I had a client calling me. I was in the middle of something I couldn't pick up, but I texted him back. It showed up as Joe Woodmansey. I texted him back and said, "Hey, I'm in the middle of something. Everything okay?" Or something like that. And it was his wife, and his wife said, "Joe passed away. I need some help filing the insurance. Can you call me back?" So I knew who they were. I remembered immediately, where they lived. I remember their house distinctly. But I don't ever pick up if I don't have their number in. Now, I use, and you guys might be able to use this, I use I'll just show you on my phone. I use on my phone, see if you can see that, not very well. I have what's called Drupe, D-R-U-P-E. It's this little three button thing on the side, and it pops up all of my contacts. It has an automatic caller ID that's built into it that's free. This is a phenomenal tool because you can actually schedule per a contact. You can actually schedule a text message, or you can slide the person's name. So if I don't know, I can do this way, but I'll try. So if you grab the person's name, you can slide it to a function that you want to do, whatever that is, whether it's send a message or I don't know what all those are. I can't read backwards. But sometimes, 50% of the time, it will show up as the person's name. So if they're not in my phone and it does pop up in a caller ID and I remember who it is, then I can pick it up. But other than that, I don't pick it up unless I just let them leave a message. Now, I might text back and I might say, "Hey, I'm in the middle of something. What can I help you with?" And let them disclose who they are. I had that happen 2 days ago with an interview. Some dude called and I responded back, and they said, "Hey, who is this?" And I was like, "I don't know. Who do you think it is?" I'm texting back and forth with them, and it ends up being some interviewee out in California, Riverside, California, and ended up scheduling an interview with them. But I didn't pick up. I'm not going to pick up unless I know who you are. So that's just my feedback. Anyone else want to add to that? Okay. Good questions. Anything else before I move on?
Hey, Mike, real quick. Running into, and again, we talked about it a little bit offline. You do not, again, recycle your leads on opt, meaning that, once you've had final resolution, I'm starting to go out, did 9 door knocks yesterday, starting to get final resolution. What do you do at this point? Just let it sit there?
Yeah, so that's a good question. There's a feature.
Let me kind of elaborate a little further.
Yeah.
I'm appearing to get duplicates. For instance, recognizing that a lead is coming back through to me that I already have. That not an A lead. I'm not experiencing that with A lead, but with 5 A leads, I'm starting to see kind of a cycle here where I've seen the name before and I've got it in opt already.
Yeah. So that's going to lead into some of what we're going to cover with the leads, and I'll kind of cover that initially.
All right.
From a lead standpoint, what you guys got to understand is Symmetry uses a code system. Like if you look at the very bottom of the lead, there's a scan code on every single lead. That scan code, when a lead comes into their mailing house, they attach a code to it. Okay. If the person fills out 2 or 3 or 4 of Symmetry's leads, there is a chance that because it's attached to a scan, okay, and sometimes they end up going out in a little bit of a different name, or sometimes the client fills back, maybe the wife fills out the form, instead of the husband. it can come back in the system initially as an A lead that will appear duplicate. Now, if you buy them yourself, okay, if you're the one that bought the lead, I've had it before where I bought a batch of 15, 20 A leads and there were duplicates in them, okay? When they're A leads, there's a form, there's a process. You go on Symmetry's website, there's a way that they ask you to fill it out, and they'll reimburse you. That's not a problem, okay? And it's important that you do that, because if you don't, it will follow through as a 5A lead, 4A lead, all the way down through the system, and it will be a duplicate. And once they're bought as duplicates as a 5A, 4A, 3A, sorry, that's just part of the process. There's nothing that they're going to reimburse you for. So now as far as recycling or getting those items out of Opt, some people think, okay, there's a conception, and I don't know where it came from, that if you put it as a dead file in your Opt system, that all of a sudden it pulls it out of Opt or pulls it out of the entire system. That's not true, okay? It does not pull it out of the Symmetry system. It does dead file it in your system, but it will continue to flow from a 5A to a 4A to a 3A to a 2A all the way down, okay? So I never, now this is just me, okay? Opt, there's a lot of things I like about Opt. There is even more things I dislike about Opt, okay? One of the things I dislike about Opt is how time-consuming it can be to mess around inside of Opt. If any of you guys are going through and methodically changing and doing inner tweakings inside of Opt and changing the lead to this and when you called and this and that, you're probably finding that it's taking hours of your time, okay? I would tell you to stop doing that. If you want to do that, download them all to an Excel sheet and do it there. And I can show you how to download it all, but it will drive you nuts if you spend time inside of Opt. It'll get you very frustrated. I never dead filed. The only thing I did in Opt was when I take an application, they become clients in Opt. I use that because that's the process of submitting it. Beyond that, I don't use it. Okay, so if you want to track your leads and all of that, there's a very, and I'll just share my screen here. There's a very easy way for you guys to download. So if you go into leads, you'll notice there's 3 tabs over here. There's active leads, my clients, and dead leads. You'll see that when I first started 3 years ago, I dead filed 6 leads. And I was like, screw this. This is such a waste of time. So I've got 6 dead leads. That does not mean that I only dead filed. Well, it does mean I only dead filed 6. There's a lot of other dead leads. And there are some dead clients. That was a bad joke. All right. Some of you caught that. Some of you didn't. So if you go into active leads, okay, there's 718 leads in here. All that means in my system is that there are 718 people that have not been moved to a client. That's all that means. So they're active in my system, meaning that I never got resolution or I never made them a client, okay, based on, so of the 1,000 that I sat down with, there was 221 of them that became clients. So you guys can go in here and select these items if you want. Okay, you can select these items and you can print them. That's one way you can do it. If you go into, and Elazar, you might want to help me out on, is there an easy way to export them to an Excel sheet?
Yeah, if you go to Write and then WYSIG. Specs and clients, yeah, Write and then
Right.
WYSWYG.
Okay, right here, export.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You can click that. It will ask you, what do you want to export? What template? You can make a new template. The template I have here is for my dialers. They have to be exported in a certain style. But you can make a template. Just tell it what things you want to pull out. There's a ton of them. There's a massive amount of information in here. and then you would just hit select, and it would. You'll have to make, those of you that are new, you'll have to make your first template, okay? But select, then you can export it as whatever file you want, text file, Excel file, whatever you want to export it as. Click OK. And voila, there it is. And hold on a second. Here's the information. So here there's 100 people. And here's all the information that was inputted into the system. Their name, street, county, phone number, status, like all this stuff. Okay, all the way across. Age, cell phone. So if you guys want to track, you can make a template, export your leads, and just come into Excel and use the Excel sheet to type out your notes. That would be a whole lot faster than messing with this fandangled part of going in and clicking the lead and doing whatever you're trying to do in there. Okay, is that helpful? I'm always about saving people time. So please spend the least amount that you need to in Opt and the most amount in front of clients and on the phone. You'll be a lot happier, okay? All right. Any other questions on that? Did that partially solve the duplicate question, Jeffrey? I might not have solved everything that you were asking, but did that kind of solve it? You're muted.
Yeah, no, that thank you, Mike.
Okay. So anytime, and I'll just follow with this, anytime I get a duplicate, listen guys, I've bought the same A-lead 6 months later. No joke. The client filled it out, you buy it, you call them, you go sit with them again. Like, it's happened. In fact, that was the way I met with a client I guess it was about a month ago, and bought the same lead. I had filled out applications on her a year ago. Ended up going back. I remember them very closely. They ended up redoing some of the stuff. Ended up doing applications on both of them again. So just because you get a new lead that's a duplicate doesn't mean, I mean, they are wanting someone to come out there. They just filled it out. So don't take it as, all right, I already met with them, or they're already a client, I'm not going to call them. Call them. They're needing something. Otherwise, they wouldn't have filled it out. All right. Any other questions? We've got about 30 more minutes, and I want to dig into some lead stuff, but any other questions? Phone questions, face-to-face questions with clients.
Can you talk about, basically like the sorting of clients into, A clients and then the ones that probably won't need service again? Kind of a follow-up on what you were saying before.
As far as following up with clients, is that what you're asking, Chris?
Yeah, essentially, like, who do you revisit year to year, and why? And then why don't you revisit other people? That's kind of a follow-up, like you're on the last one.
If you're not talking, if you can just like mute the phone, that way it's not quite as loud for everyone else. I don't have a clue who that. There we go. All right. So, yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Best practice.
Okay.
Best practice for existing leads or existing clients. Okay. As you guys, a lot of you guys are just focused on acquiring clients. Like it's just the client acquisition part, buying the leads, going out, working the leads, obtaining the clients. There's no real thought at most of you guys' stage of the game as far as follow up or how do I stay in touch with clients, things of that nature. And some of you might be more attuned to this than others. For me, okay, I always determined or judged a little bit. I always judged kind of the caliber of the client. Okay, I'm not judging the person. Okay, but the caliber of the client, the likelihood of doing additional business based on what I know about the client. So those that I determine as an A client, a good potential prospect that might, hey, maybe I uncovered some investments, or maybe I uncovered some additional insurance needs, or maybe they've got a higher income than average. I connected with them well. They're good people. They value what I do, things of that nature. Excuse me. I'm going to classify them as an A lead, or for me as an A client. Okay. Or as a potential follow-up. And I'm going to do one of two things. When I do the delivery, now, first of all, I'm delivering every single one of those policies that I would classify as a client. If they're, nothing wrong with, 72-year-old lady that's on a fixed income that all she can qualify as Gerber or Eagle Premier, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. But time value of money, I'm probably not going to go out and spend another hour with her because there's just not a lot additional that I can do to help. So in the initial meeting, I'm going to let them know, hey, I'm not going to be coming back. I'm going to set the expectation. I'm not going to tell them I'm going to be coming back. Okay. The policy is going to be delivered to you. Here's my card. If there's anything you need, call me. I'm not going to personally deliver those because there's not a lot of, my time value of money isn't very high there interacting with a client, again, knowing their situation. Okay. That doesn't mean I don't value them. That's not what that means. Some of you guys might feel like that's a little odd, but that just, again, setting the expectation with those clients that you're not coming back is key, because if they expect you to come back and you don't show up, that's trouble. The policies are coming off the books. Like they're going to, who knows what they're going to say about you. Okay. If they're, in my mind, if they're an A client and a potential follow-up or a potential additional business, I'm going to deliver that policy to them. I'm going to set a follow-up meeting for 6 months or 12 months out. I'm going to set it while I'm there with the client. Okay. If they don't want to schedule that, I'm going to put it in my phone. And here's the beauty of what I just showed you. The Droop that I told you about, you can set reminders inside of it automatically for a contact, and you can set it a year out, 6 months out. It doesn't matter. Okay. You need to use something to auto remind you to follow up with the client. So what I always did is I set an automatic, like I just schedule it in my phone. 6 months later, I need to meet with this person, set up a reminder. I can forget about it at that point. I'm a big fan of putting stuff down and then just throwing it out of your brain. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's already locked in, okay?
Right. That's a lot of mental energy that you're wasting trying to remember that when we have technology that will do it for you.
So leverage technology. You can use Google Calendar. I mean, it doesn't have to be something crazy. You can go out and put a reminder, a task reminder 6 months out, and put the client's name and phone number and be done, and you can forget about it. You don't have to use anything on your phone. You can use Google Calendar. You can use, there's lots of tools that you can.
A calendar.
Yeah, you can. Some of you guys aren't using a calendar. So anything, I am a huge fan of organized chaos, okay? So just make sure that you're putting things down. Everything you need to get done, put it down so you don't have to remember everything. If you told a client that you're going to call them next week, put a reminder in your phone so you don't have to remember yourself. Let your phone remind you to do it. That way, if you guys interact with me very much, I am probably one of the least stressed people that you'll meet. Everything gets reminded to me on my phone. I rarely miss things I'm supposed to do. I rarely miss meetings I'm supposed to go to. It does happen every once in a while, but every time it does happen, it's because I forgot to put it in my phone. That's why. But I don't think a lot about what do I got to do? Do I got to do this? Do I do that? Another little thing you guys can notice on my, I've got, I use Chrome. I use a little plugin in Chrome called Momentum. You can put your focus for the day. I have to-do lists down here. This syncs across all my browsers. So anytime I pop up on my computer, it's going to say, hey, don't forget to do this. Okay, don't forget to do your taxes. I did an extension because I wasn't ready for them. Don't forget to do that. You got to do that, okay? And it doesn't get checked off until these items are done. I've got a client that I met with 2 months ago, and they're ready to roll over their money, but he doesn't get access to the money until November. Well, it's almost $300,000 of assets. You think I want to remember to do that? I think I do. And that's the case with Elazar and me. So I've got it down here. Submit the holder annuity in October. I need to get back together with them. So that I've got things that remind me everything I'm supposed to do, my important stuff, no matter where I go, no matter what I use, it pops up and it reminds me.
Right, and that really does a lot to help build your critical mass of your sales funnel, because there's going to be stuff that's going to keep popping up, and then I know that you get the same thing, but you'll get people and they say, Mike, like how do you do this big case? How do you do that? And it's like, well, one, it's time. Like, first of all, you have to get there. You have to have screwed up 30 of them to get where this is at. I mean, that's part of it, but it's really it's a matter of time and professionalism and following up. Like, if a guy's moving over $300,000, he wants to make sure that you're on it, and nothing makes you look more like you're on it than regularly, reliably, calendar-wise, boom, 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 following up with what it is that you said you were going to do.
Yeah, that's like my one, I guess my one motto with interacting with clients, and it's kind of phased into, it's just a part of me, and this was ingrained in me in a negative way, but it was ingrained in me at Northwestern, where you say you're going to do something, you do it. You do it. So if you heard me on the phone, you would hear me say, if a client says, can you call me back, or can you remind me the day before? This was a huge deal for me. I would ask the client, how do you want me to best remind you of our meeting on Thursday at 6:00? How do you want me to remind you? And they would respond, oh, Mike, I'm good. I don't need it. It's in my calendar. I'm good to go. Or they would say, hey, Mike, can you do me a favor? Can you shoot me a text Thursday morning just to jog my memory because I might be running late? I will say, sure, yes. And what I do when I get off the phone is I schedule an automatic reminder text message to go out to them on their phone so I don't have to remember to do it. And all that's doing is building rapport with the client before I ever meet them. If I tell a client I'm going to meet with them in 6 months to do a review, I schedule it in my calendar to do it. I've also, and I'll take this time to kind of throw out, I'm a tech geek a little bit. I love technology. And I just started utilizing a brand new emailing system called Close.
He told me about this for 20 minutes.
And it reminds me to follow up with people. It's nuts. Okay, so look here. I've got, is this synced yet? Hold on. I think it needs to sync. I'll let that sync. So this literally, and this is where, it doesn't mean you guys need to use this, and it might be a little bit overload for you guys to do this, but I'm a fan of staying in touch with people. I'm a fan of, like, if you want to build really good relationships, you find ways to stay in touch with your clients, no matter how big or small they are. And sometimes it's just an email. That's all that needs to happen is an email. So I've got in here, let's see. Is it telling me I need to follow up with anything upcoming? Oh, look, I've got trips to Cancun. I need to make sure I do that. These will remind me to send out. So these items haven't been completed. Like, it's telling me in here, the way this email system works is it reminds me that I have to at some point follow up with this so that I get that taken care of. Usually on my calendar, and I don't have anything because I've already done them, it'll say, you haven't followed up with this particular client. Let me see if I've got more. All right, here we go. Reminder to get in touch. Reminder to get in touch. The last call, this is a good buddy of mine. The last call that I had was Tuesday. He's a very close friend of mine, and it says, don't forget to stay in touch. And I can click on this guy, and I can literally, I can send an email. I can, these are all of my interactions that I've had with this person, phone calls, you name it. Okay. This is Miranda Martin. Last time, we're working on a case together, but last time I interacted with her was 16 days ago. And it tells me what it is that I interacted with on. So I'm a huge fan of, I'm trying to find anything else. No, I'm up to date because I've already taken care of them all. But I'm a huge fan of staying up to date and making sure that people, I've sent out yesterday 5 or 6 emails to clients that I hadn't interacted with in like a year. Just wanted to check in. Hope everything's good. Let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. I'll be gone on vacation next week, but if we need to meet, after vacation, let me know. I'd be happy to help you out with some stuff. One of those clients is a client I hadn't interacted with in 12 months, and they've got $25,000 a year of premium going in. Now, how do you think they feel if I don't connect with them? So just think about those things as you guys are building your practice. How would you want someone to continue to interact with you? What can you do on a simple basis to follow up? And I'll show you guys. I'm gonna show you back to one of my calendars. Okay, this weekly time allocation. This is what I had when I was in the field. One time a week, I scheduled 30 minutes to make sure I'm following up with clients. It doesn't take a lot of time, guys, but block it in 30 minutes where all you do is text clients. Hey, want to let you know how this case is going. Follow up, send emails, call them if you need to. Just spend some time on a weekly basis continuing to interact and follow up. If you want to reduce the amount of fall-offs and chargebacks, do this. I do not have hardly any chargebacks, guys.
Right. And nothing makes you look like more of a champ than just regularly zipping an email or something. Hey, just wanted to update you. Hey, just wanted to wish you happy anniversary. Little just things like that are great, and the more you can automate it, the better.
Yeah, and that'll move into, one of the things we're struggling with right now in the agency, just to be transparent, is helping other agents deal with chargebacks. Agents that are no longer here that have chargebacks. And you guys will know what that is and how that feels when you become an agency owner. Because if an agent leaves and they have a chargeback with a company and they don't pay it, guess what? That debt rolls up to you. Someone's going to pay it. So, if I can help you guys be good professional agents, you'll also be good professional agency owners as you interact with not just your agents, but your clients, and as you teach your agents how to interact with your clients. All right, so we've got 15 minutes left. I do want to go into a little bit of the leads, so I'm going to kind of dig into that. I want to show you guys what comes into me from the lead department. Okay, so you guys understand what GMRs are, how they interact, how A-leads work. Some of you guys have a GMR turned on. A GMR is, I thought it was a geographical marketing region. I learned it's not a geographical marketing. It's a geographical mailing region. So it's where they're mailing out to. It's the counties they're mailing to. You'll see here, and I'm a very transparent person. So if you see your name up here and you see things that you don't like, it is what it is. Everyone needs to understand how this functions. So you'll see here, these are all the GMRs that we have turned on. We had Eric Fernandez used to be with us. He turned off his GMR. We've got anytime you turn off a GMR, you'll notice this turned off item here. You'll notice that they have a date that says when that officially is terminated. Officially, the agency owner is responsible for taking any leads that the agent does not take during that time, which is scary because these are regions that I am not in. I can't fly out necessarily and work leads. So it can be a little bit scary in that respect. But you can kind of see, this is the number of leads that are supposed to come in. They're mailing for 7 leads in these 2 counties. They're mailing for 10 leads. This is my lead order. 10 leads in Benton County. I have agency GMRs turned on that I'm just going to mute Sorry, it's bothering me just a little bit. I'm just going to mute everyone. And then if you want to unmute yourself, that way it won't bother me. You'll see that I have these GMRs turned on. I'm putting a lot of faith and trust in people in these areas, because if they don't buy them, they're not on the hook for them. I am. So technically, I have to buy 32 A-leads a week. That's a lot of money, guys, if my agents don't buy them. And there will be times when that happens. So, you've got here leads. You can see kind of the number of now you'll notice. I want to point out a couple of other things on the right side. Okay, and it's a little harder to see this side. I'm going to move this over so you guys can see it. These are the notes that I send to you guys in the lead allocation channel. And if you're not in that lead allocation channel, it's because you're not consistently buying leads. So if you want to be in that channel, just let me know, and I'll put you in the mix to consistently buy leads. But what I want to explain here is these are all these leads that come in. All these leads that come in have and I just learned this yesterday. These age out columns, I talked to Brad about this. Age out columns, age out week 1, age out next week, and this notes column. When you see in a column, when I put this in the lead allocation channel, this age out next week literally means that those leads next week are going to be 3 weeks old. And this is important for you guys to understand, because when you're getting A-leads that have aged out or that are getting ready to age out because an individual hasn't followed through on the GMR, those are older leads. They're actually 2 or 3 week old leads. So if you want brand new fresh leads, you need to consistently stay up on the purchasing of the leads that come in. And some of you guys are great at that. Others, it can be a challenge, and that's fine. I don't want to terrify you guys. I'm getting messages from people to not overly terrify everyone of all this information. But I think it is important that you guys understand how these leads work. Age out means that they haven't been taken. Like if you put in a GMR for, I'll put myself as an example. I have 10 leads that are supposed to come into Benton County. You'll look up here, 10 leads came in. You'll look also that there is absolutely no aging out of leads, because I buy 10 every single week, or I allocate 10 every single week, one or the other. It is my understanding, and I'm getting this information kind of corrected, or at least I'm getting the right understanding of it. Call-in leads. Some of you guys have certain opinions about call-in leads. Some love them, some hate them. Just remember, call-in leads are generated a little differently, and they're less expensive. They're $10 a lead. So my understanding of them is that if you have a GMR for 10, for instance, if I have a GMR for 10 and the only thing that comes in is call-in leads, more than likely there will be 20 call-in leads, because 2 call-in leads count for the same thing as 1 when you're buying them, because it's $10 each. So $20 versus normally an A lead is $27.50 at a 60% contract level. So my understanding of them is you'll see in these counties where there's 19. So like Henry County, 19 call-in leads. That's going to equate to the equivalent of about 10 A leads. So just kind of understand, and I'll show you guys here. This is what I'm talking about with Tennessee. Look at all these leads in Tennessee and Virginia. I'll give you how many. There's 95 leads in Tennessee and Virginia. So back to the question with Daniel. Initially, I don't think we're going to have any trouble in your area with running out of leads. I haven't had that issue anyways. Roanoke's got 20. I know that's a little ways from you guys, but that's, Elazar's been working that area. There's a ton of leads in Roanoke, just a huge plethora of leads, and they're good people up there. So just understand now, all that we're required to get is the number on the GMR. So if you come down here and read, let's see, Elazar's GMR is 10. So he just has to get 10 every week. So if there's 50 some that come in, in these counties. There's 58 that came in. All he has to get is 10. If we can get rid of additional ones, great. Okay. I want to show you one other part of this, and this is important to kind of show you. Let me find it. Okay, by the numbers. So this is something that you guys probably have not seen, okay? But does anyone know what the closing rate you have to have in order to be able to buy A-leads? Does anyone know what that closing rate is? You get a free pat on the back if you know what it is. Chris, you don't get the answer. All right, no one gets a pat on the back. 30%. So if you're going to have a GMR turned on, you have to have a 30% close ratio consistently or higher, or else Symmetry will tell me one of two things. We aren't going to let them until they bring that rate up, have a standing GMR, or they might say we're not going to allocate leads to him. Even though I've chosen to allocate them, Symmetry won't let me allocate to you because they don't see it being profitable. If all you have is a 15% close ratio, that's not profitable. Okay? I consistently bought 10 A leads a week for a year and a half, and my closing ratio was 55%. I didn't buy 5 A leads. Now, one thing you guys need to understand is you'll see here in the numbers, this is a bunch of different.
Sorry, let me jump in here.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the pitfalls as they grow? Sorry, I'm training for a marathon right now. As they become an agency owner, of getting into this trap of buying A leads for other people, and that negatively affecting their ratios, them being concerned about themselves first. And then
I'll get into that as we, because I'm going to show them here. That's a good question. I'm going to show them here kind of where we're at, and you guys might be surprised. When I was in the field and I did a bunch of business, and I'm not toting my own horn, okay? I just want you to know the numbers that were happening. We were consistently somewhere between 50% and 75% close ratios on a regular week-to-week basis. We are dramatically lower than that right now, and it's because of two things, and I know why. Number one, the main reason I know why, and I've kind of instilled it in you guys a little bit, so I'll take credit for it. But I'll kind of explain why this is so important. So you'll see people that have over 100% close ratio. The reason why that's the case, and you'll see there's a lot of people actually. These are agencies, so they bought 7, they closed 7, bought 24, wrote 24 applications, 100% close ratio. The reason why that's the case is because a lot of their team might be buying 5A leads, because 5A leads count 100% towards your close ratio. So these people up here, and I'll just show you an example. Lisa Brown, how can you buy no leads and get 10 apps? Well, they bought 5A leads. I mean, that's the reason, because the 5A leads don't count against you on the assignments, but they count for you on the actual applications taken on them. So referral leads, bonus leads, anything written on those, they're going to only count for you. Okay. Carlene, 6-week average, 33 leads bought. That means they bought 33 A leads and they closed 160 applications in 6 weeks. That's a really good close ratio. That means her agency is always going to get first priority when they're divvying out leads, because she has a very high close ratio. So some of you are not buying 5A leads. So the first solution to this is feather in 5A leads. That's the first solution, because those don't count against you. Feather in some 5A leads, closing ratios, and I'll show, if we have time, I'm going to show some individual people's closing ratios, and I don't want to freak people out, but I just want some people to kind of see what their close ratios are. But look at where we're at, guys. Keep going. Hold on. Keep going. Hold on. We're going to go all the way to the bottom. Hold on a second. Where are we at? Last week, we bought 65 A leads and closed 10 applications. 15%.
really disappointing. Really,
15%.
Really.
Our average, look at how many leads we've bought in, guys. Like, I don't have a problem getting people to buy leads. 530 leads over the last 6 weeks. But we've only closed 144 applications. That's we're in the caution line. That's right at 30%. So here's my encouragement to you guys is if you're buying A-leads, I need you to get resolution on every single one of them. Every single one of them. Otherwise, it causes the agency to have a problem with being able to continue to buy the leads. That's the problem, okay? So
you're not just hurting yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you're making yourself more important than the other 40 people.
So don't just be a lead junkie. And there's nothing wrong with 5A leads, guys. 5A leads are beautiful leads. In fact, in some counties, they're easier to sell than A leads because you have people that buy them and don't go work them. And that's kind of what's going on in our agency a little bit. I think there's some of them aren't getting resolution. Maybe some of them aren't. And this is the other part. This is, I think, the real challenge here is that people are holding applications. And if you hold an application, and I know that we've talked about that, and I know the importance of it, and I know that helps our net placed, okay? And I get that. Just understand that if it's a good app that you hold until it gets issued, potentially it will count against our closing ratio because there's no reason to hold a good application that you know it's going to get issued. There's absolutely no reason. I'm going to go in here and look at a snapshot here, and I'm going to show you guys last month, okay? I'm going to give you guys some accolades. Huge accolades for our net placed. Huge accolades, okay? You guys did awesome last month in net placed. We're over 80% net placed on what we submitted. So phenomenal job. You guys are paying attention, writing good business. What I do know is that there was about $30,000 to $40,000 of business that was held and not put in opt. Okay, so double-edged sword.
And that's you guys. That's you guys chasing titles and promotions and dragging it over a month. Which again, I get.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and the more you figure out in the business, if you're new and you still don't quite feel like you understand everything, or if you're saying, guys, you're talking about both sides of your mouth. You want me to hold it so we have a high net place ratio, but now you're telling me to submit it. Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, in the end, if it's good business, if it's a 35-year-old and you're doing some Mutual Omaha Term Express and they don't have any health issues, submit that. Like, hey, submit that. But if it's a 77-year-old who has a stroke and COPD, yeah, maybe sit on that one. Don't submit that right away.
Yeah, and I'm just going to show you, and I'm going to, for the time being, I'm not going to show the people. Some of you might have already seen a few people. But I'm going to show you some of these numbers. I mean, we've got, overall agency is 81.4%. So we are awesome job on that, okay? But for the month, we bought 433 leads and closed 101. That's 23%. That's way low. We should be above 30%. Some of that's because applications weren't submitted, because you don't get credit for the apps until they get submitted. There's zero, and this is where I'm not talking out both sides of my mouth. Okay. What I need you guys to understand is continue to be very attentive to good placed business. Follow up on them. Continue to make sure that what you're taking is good business. But there is zero reason for anyone to hold an app that's a good, clean piece of business for a week just until it gets placed. Like, don't do that. Get it in opt so that you continue to submit and get closure on the closing ratios if it's good business. Now, listen, if it's fully underwritten stuff, if it's stuff that you're really not sure if the client's going to take, don't submit it. Okay? But guys, all we have to have is a 60%. That's all we have to have. So you can have 30 or 40% of your business not get placed. That's okay. There's nothing. You're not going to get a better a better applause by having an 81% versus a 63. No one's going to say, hey, great job, we're going to pay you more because of that. We just can't have anything below 60. And some of these, and I'm just going to show you guys some of these placed numbers. Let me just kind of go through them. I mean, we've got, accolades to this person here. 33 leads purchased, 13 closed. I'll give accolades out, and I won't push people down. So Jeffrey Brown, that's you. 40% close ratio. Great job. Absolutely phenomenal job. Okay. Daniel Williams, 8 leads purchased, 3 apps closed, 37%. Great job. Okay. Omar, 5 A leads purchased. He's working on a ton of bonus leads, and look, he's got 160%. Phenomenal job. Okay. That doesn't mean he's better at closing A leads. That means he's using the system correctly. He's feathering in 5 A leads with the A leads, and that makes him look above 100%. Okay. Now, I'm not going to probably poke a lot of other people because you want to know what your lead, you want to let me know what your close ratio is. I'll tell you what the close ratio is. This is a problem down here, guys. 30 A leads purchased, 0 apps taken. That is a problem. That's in a 4-week period. Now, I'm not going to push this individual too hard because I understand there are some issues going on and I understand the situation. But
isn't that just money wasted on their end?
That is money wasted on their end. That is. 16, 0, 15, 1, 14, 1, 20, 2. Like all of these are literally anyone in this red area, my initial response is you don't need to be doing A leads, you need to be doing bonus leads. That's a gut reaction response, but I don't want to do that. I want you guys to recognize this is an area you can work on. If you have to work with me individually, work with me individually. If you got to work with your upline individually, work with them individually. If you're not asking for help, I can't help you. Okay? But eventually what happens is, I'll give you an example with an agent down in Tampa, Florida. I won't say the name. I ended up just shutting off the GMR, just turn it off, forget it. I'm not ever going to assign you A leads again, period, until your ratios are above 30%. And I know you want leads, but I can't because your closing ratio is like 8%. It just makes no sense, okay? So this is not me. I don't want you guys walking away from this saying Mike was getting down on you. I want you guys to understand what's going on in the backside of the agency. I want to applaud you guys for working hard. Phenomenal job with the agency doing 82%. Phenomenal job. Okay. By the way, this is spot on, and I want you guys to give Jen an accolades privately on Slack because we were literally within 0.3% of knowing what this number was. So she is tracking beyond awesome. Give her some private accolades. Just, hey, thank you for all you do. And just respect what she does and continue to follow up with her on, hey, this application was submitted. These are the pending items. Just continue to follow up. We as an agency, and I want to finish with this, okay? I want to go in and show you guys. By the way, there's my family, if you guys haven't seen them. I want to show you real quick what you as an agency can do this month. We have this is a big month. This is a huge month. We have a 5-week turn-in. I have no idea why my computer's so slow. We have a 5-week turn-in. Come on, Google. And with the 5-week turn-in, we are literally with commitments, we're at $263,000. That's the commitments that everyone in the agency has made. Why is Google taking so long? That is uncommon. Newsflash, Google's going under. Just kidding. Well, if I can't bring this up, I'll let this run. Oh, there it is. Maybe. All right. So I want to show you guys a couple of things, and then we'll be done. I know we're running over just a little bit. I've not updated the actual numbers, okay? So these are not up to date. But I want you guys to see, as a team, what you guys have committed to, okay? These commitments, I don't take lightly commitments, okay? If you've made a commitment, do your best to follow through on it. I'm not going to get upset if you don't hit your commitment if you've given me 110%. I'm going to be a little mildly irritated if you gave me 50% and you didn't hit your commitment, because it's an integrity thing. So if you said 30 and that is your commitment, Elazar, I'm going to call you out, man. You said 30. I know you're giving 110%. I know that. Okay, so if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be pissed, but it's going to happen. You're going to do 30. So, and I know you've already taken like 8 or 10,000 of premium, but I'm tracking this, guys. The Clark agency has a commitment of 103. If you're in his agency, as a team, you need to pull together as a team. You owe it to Chris to help him hit his goal. It's 103. Yeah. Remaining right now, I think there's additional items that have already been submitted. We've got about 80,000 remaining.
Yeah, I was going to say there's already over 20 that went in.
So 80,000 remaining. Santos agency, $70,000 commitment. There's items that haven't been uploaded into Opt yet, so I know that number isn't accurate. The entire base shop, we have commitments of $261,000. I think we're at 25, somewhere in there right now for the month. That's month one. If you want to do the math, $261,000 divided by 5 weeks, we need to do $52,000 a week. Okay? We did 19 week one. We are way behind. Okay? So pull together. All I'm asking you guys to do is hit your commitment. I don't need you to do any more than your commitment. Okay? I don't need you to feel like you need to be a superhero and go out and do $80,000 this week. Okay? All I need everyone to do is hit their individual commitments, and we will, as a team, win. Period. This will be a record-breaking month. The most we've ever done is 183,000. We have the people in place, but we can't do it unless you guys go out and hit your individual goals. I made a commitment to Jen last night, and I'll make a commitment to you guys. When I come back from vacation, if we're behind, I'm out in the field again. I don't want to be out in the field again, guys. But I will pull one for the team if we have to. I will do that.
And realize, Mike is in the field. That means that Mike's not able to help you deal with your personal questions as much. That means that he's not able to help you do conference calls for your hiring as much. So that trickle down directly does affect you.
And that's not me. I'm not being threatening. I'm just telling you that's a commitment to you guys.
No.
I'm committing to you guys to help the team. I'm going to help the team if I need to, and I'll go out and write. If I need to write 30,000 this month, I'll go write 30,000. I've written as much as 110 in an individual month, so I will go out there and help you guys if we need to. But I'm just commissioning you guys to just follow through on what you said you were going to do. Just a big shout out: Elazar 30,000, Brittany 20,000, Chris 15, Jeffrey 20. Dude, you're already over like 12 or 13. Okay. By the way, Jeffrey, huge shout out to you. You had a closing ratio last month, or a net placed ratio last month, of 93%. 93. So huge shout out to you. Omar 20, Shep 8. Yvette 10, Brandon 10, Paul 20, Daniel 10. Huge shout out to you. You got this, man. Kevin Jerome's 30.
Well, Omar has hit half of his also.
So doing what he needs to do.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I think Omar might set who has the most in the agency? You have, of record. You had $1 million month. I did 62 one month. Omar might do 60 in his first month.
First full-time month. This is first full-time month. So just doing the
yeah.
deal. Okay. So other people, Kevin's got 30, Ron Dilbert dealing with the hurricane issue. So again, we might have to figure that out, but 15,000, April Ferris, 6,000, Brian, 5,000, Casey, 15, Terry, 5, Tone, 5, Ben. Hey man, he told me he wanted to do 7,500 and he's not even contracted yet, guys. He's licensed. He's getting his contracting done. Watch out for him. He's a college kid. 7,500. Don't get owned by a college kid. Victoria Baldwin King, 10,000. First month in the field. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I know we went over. I hope this was helpful. Any questions, let me know. I'm here to help you guys. Just a reminder, I am leaving Friday to go to Tennessee. I'm flying out to Cancun Sunday. I will be in Mexico Sunday through Friday. We have 2 people helping out for next week. Elazar is going to help run the Monday morning meeting, and Chris is going to help run the Thursday meeting. So
Everyone, Father Elazar.
That's right. All right, guys, I appreciate you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, and please encourage additional people to get on here. I will post this as a recording for those of that your team that maybe missed this. I appreciate each one of you guys very, very much, and honored to be working with you.
Have a great week.
Thank you, everyone.